It's very complicated. It's very long. I'll try to extract it and not make too many mistakes. And a big shout out to our former colleague and friend, Michelle Crusoe-Cabrera, who did most of the heavy lifting on this story, by the way, and she kind of served it up for me. So, Michelle, she's in Mongolia. Thank you for some reason you're watching. It's a very important story, too. So Citgo is owned by PDVSA, effectively the Venezuelan oil company. 10 years ago, a Canadian hedge fund sued the Venezuelan government over a gold mine that Venezuela stole from the hedge fund. The hedge fund has gone through all these years of courts, okay? They attach themselves to Citgo because Citgo is one of the few assets that has value in North America for Venezuela. Well, a judge has recently ruled that their claim stands. The company's called Crystalex, okay? Never mind who they are. But the idea is this: unless Citgo / PDVSA / the Venezuelan government can pull a legal magic rabbit out of a hat or pony up the $1.4 billion a judge has ruled it owes Crystalex, there's a good chance, guys, in the next couple of days or weeks that Citgo will be seized. The entire company, 3 refineries, 48 terminals. You fly into Newark, you see all those terminals, 48 terminals and numerous pipelines will be seized by federal marshals and sold at auction to pay that $1.4 billion debt. It's a Houston company controlled by Venezuela.
Yeah. And this is a U.S. judge that made this ruling.
Judge Stark in Wilmington, Delaware, 3rd Circuit.
And what would happen to the Citgo gas stations that I drive by every day?
Most of them are franchised, so probably nothing. But you got to remember, Venezuela sells a majority of its oil to Citgo. They have refineries in Texas, Louisiana, Illinois. Now, Citgo, or Venezuela, in the last couple of years has been selling more to Russia's Rosneft, who, by the way, loaned them $1.5 billion in exchange for oil, and also PBF, a New Jersey-based refinery. But a lot of it still goes to Citgo. So they're going to be owned, but I do wonder, will they have gas to sell if they're buying from the Citgo refineries?
Look, the bigger problem for Venezuela, this is why nobody wants to do business with them, because of past issues where,
Bingo.
like this mine, you know, you invest money, you pay for it, and all of a sudden they can confiscate the assets and nothing comes of it. That's why Venezuela, even though they have more oil supply than any other nation, can't get it out of the ground because nobody's willing to invest there.
It's also the reason you lived in every state is I think your dad was involved in the oil and gas business.
Yeah.
So you know it's crap oil. I mean, it's thick, it's sludgy, it's expensive to refine, it's expensive to maintain. They're not putting the capital back in. So, by the way, what makes the story even more interesting is that this Crystalex basically went bust. It's a Canadian hedge fund. A New York hedge fund came in 8 years ago and said, hey, Crystalex, what do you need? We're going to fund you, called Tenor Capital. They've put in over $70 million by some accounts and my sources.
They bought this lawsuit.
They basically bought the lawsuit, and it looks like they could have $1 billion payday. Now, I talked to some people, not going to name them, sources off the record yesterday, who said, because I said, well, if Crystalex wins, and let's say they get a refinery, won't they just sell the stock effectively in PDVSA's U.S. subsidiary? I said, no, they may want to operate the refinery because it's good cash flow.
Wow.
So we could see litigation as an asset class grow from this. We could see, by the way, the economic fate of Venezuela be finally decided by this.
What's Venezuela's response, if any, to any of this?
Well, right now they're pulling every legal trick out of the hat. They're trying to. Sovereign immunity. They're saying the court doesn't have jurisdiction. Whatever you can throw at it, they're trying to throw at it. Right now, a judge has said that we're going to have a delay, a slight delay, but they're going to seize the assets of Cisco. I don't know when it's going to Citgo, not Cisco. John Chambers just had Joe had a little bit of a stroke. Citgo, I don't know when it's going to happen, but unless something changes legally for PDV Holdings, which is the U.S. subsidiary of PDVSA,
well, let me just,
it's going to happen.
You might know this, Santel. You're too young, I think, but I'm going to bring this all home to roost here. So, Citgo at one time was City Service. Mesa, Boone Pickens, tried to buy City Service. Instead, City Service bought Mesa. And then Occidental bought City Service and spun off Citgo, the gas station, and then PDVSA or whatever bought it. The reason I'm saying this, do you know the first stock that Warren Buffett ever bought?
That's exactly where I was going to go.
That's
City Services that he bought when he was
Was it City Services?
It was City Services back when he was 12 years old.
I think he bought it when it was a convertible.
He did.
It was a convertible. I guess it was a preferred stock.
76 years ago, he bought the stock.
Yeah.
Well, now he owns a bunch of Phillips 66. Ask him if he's going to be interested
That's
here.
awesome.
If this thing goes on the
He paid
block.
back some of the Phillips, or he paid it back down to under 10%. You're
last
right.
thing, guys, by the way, listen, Citgo is obviously controlled by the Venezuelans, and people have strong opinions about that, but there's a lot of people that work in Houston for Citgo and at the refineries.
Right.
You got to think about them. I mean, you don't want the padlock on the door, so to speak, but it looks like Citgo is likely going to go up for auction. I'll keep you informed, and if anything breaks over the
You're
next
right.
couple of days.
There's a lot riding on this in terms of other potential litigation, what it means for the company and the country.